Portland's Democratic mayor finally bans the 700, yes, 700 unsanctioned homeless camps that have turned the once trendy city into a vortex of misery. That sounds like a horror movie and or a video game, doesn't it? Yeah, well, it's not. It's Portland. Keep Portland weird. Republican leading the race for the governor vows to declare the state of emergency if elected. So we've got a mayor who's kind of looking around going, things are not going the direction that we had hoped. That whole summer of love in 2020 and me being out there with Black Lives Matter and Antifa shoulder to shoulder, just doing our thing, it's kind of come back to haunt me. It's kind of not a good look at this point in time, given all that crime and shootings and everything else that Portland's got going on. Portland's one of those cities that hasn't quite recovered from all of the shenanigans and peaceful protesting from 2020. So, and we've been talking about this for a long time. I even talked last week, I think before this our YouTube strike hit, that there was a kind of a small leak that Portland's Mayor Ted, was going to come up with a big grandiose plan. Never mind, it doesn't have any funding. I mean, it's a little tiny problem. But, let's get into it. Let's get in and see what Mayor Ted has going. Portland's Democratic mayor has finally announced plans to shut down any unsanctioned homeless camps in the city as a high number of squalid shanty towns and rising crime continues to plague the area. Ted Wheeler condemned Portland's homeless problems as a vortex of misery and shared his ideas on how to qualm the issue, with residents already turning their backs on the city. We've known about this. We know this is a situation. Locals told DailyMail.com that they're abandoning the Democrats. The Democrats are not abandoning Portland. They're just like, oh my word, things are not going well here. Maybe we need to work on voting for somebody who, I don't know, isn't the status quo. Democrats are reluctantly looking at other options. They are reimagining and rethinking leadership just a scooch in the city of Portland. So we're abandoning the Democrats, who have been in charge for 40 years and they're abandoning it because they're sick of crime, drug use, and homelessness in the center of the city. Now they're thinking of electing a Republican as governor for the first time, with Nike co-founder and Oregon's richest man, Phil Knight, is backing Christine Drazan to defeat her Democratic rival. We've got the richest man in Oregon saying, anybody but Kotek, the Democrat who is running for the governor position in Oregon. Anybody but her. And he's literally come right back out. He's come out and said that. And it's just kind of like, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Democrat Wheeler has been blamed for crime skyrocketing, with Portland setting a record for murders last year when they reported 90 homicides, shattering the previous high of 66, and could be about to surpass it this year. That means that people are losing their lives. And people want to say, you get what you pay for. You voted these politicians in. Yes. But you've also got a scenario where people are losing their lives at record numbers. Yeah. Need to get that under control. Need to get that handled. And so this is literally why the Mayor Ted is, he's coming up with anything he can at the moment to kind of, let's see if we can kickstart a little bit of momentum. Let's see if we can tweak the optics just enough to get some momentum out of this. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Portland is hosed, and you might actually see a Republican governor in Oregon. Wouldn't that be something? That'd be just nuts. The Oregon city currently has more than 700 homeless encampments across the city within less than 150 square miles. And the ordeal has also led to skyrocketing crime in the area. And some of the most charming, trendy, and expensive neighborhoods of the Pacific Northwest are now overrun with tent cities, crowding residential neighborhoods and streets, and littered with trash, and the issue is scaring away both locals and tourists. Announcing the ban, Mayor Wheeler said, "The magnitude and the depth of the homelessness crisis in our city is nothing short of a humanitarian crisis." All right, but Mayor Ted, you're largely responsible for how this has gone down. You say your hands are tied. But a lot of this is, well, we love our fellow human beings so much, we're just going to let them live willy-nilly wherever. And then you decriminalize drugs, and then you defunded the police, and then you crapped on policing as a profession, and then you've got politicians, you've got prosecutors that aren't keeping the criminals in jail, in prison. They're not doing any of that. So this is, Portland's become the perfect petri dish for all things that have gone sideways in society, haven't they? And it used to be a cool town. It used to be a really cool city. It's still got that potential. I think it could do a comeback, but man, it's going to take some work to get it from a humanitarian crisis to, okay. Whatever that means, right? Whatever that means in today's world. In his proposal, the mayor said that he plans to ban the unsanctioned encampments across the city and make way for the construction of 20,000 units in the coming years. What do you think is going to happen when you construct 20,000 units in an area? 20,000 units of housing for these folks. I mean, that number right there. I mean, here in Seattle, we're doing our best to, create some housing. But if you get 500 units in a year, you're killing it. You're killing it. So, this pie in the sky thing here in Oregon, I just don't really see much coming from this other than this is just a plan. And, I got plans too. I mean, I want to, do stuff and whatnot. That doesn't necessarily, and I'd like to have, I want to have a 120-foot yacht. How about that? I would love to have that. Do I have a way to pay for it? Well, I mean, I probably could, but it just wouldn't make a lot of sense because it doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't have that kind of discretionary income, right, to run that. Now, City of Portland, they don't have a real funding program for this either, right? They got nothing. So this is basically a theoretical plan that we're throwing out to kind of try and change optics just a little bit, because the current optics, they are not looking quite so good, are they? Yeah. No, we need to change the overall. Oh, yeah. Well, we really, really crapped the bed on this one, didn't we? Yeah, we need to do something. So Wheeler hopes that the units will be affordable and built over the next decade. We need to move our scattered, vulnerable, homeless population closer to the services that they need, Wheeler said. A key factor of his proposal includes the idea to also create additional emergency shelters, safe rest villages, and city-designed campsites. The actual banning of the homeless encampments would not come until funding has been secured, the mayor said. So, you got to have funding in place before this actually happens. We don't have any funding. This whole thing is it's a pie in the sky try for, isn't it? It's a reach for. It is not a reach around, but a reach for. We are reaching for something that is just flat beyond our limits. We'll just kind of have to see how this goes. This isn't going anywhere. This isn't happening, but it's a nice thought. I mean, it's got some promise, but this is going nowhere. The actual banning of the homeless encampments would not come until funding has been secured. That just tells you everything you need to know, right? Hey, love to have this within our community. I think it would really help. Could you lend us a few $100 million? Could we have a couple $100 million? His announcement comes after billionaire Knight donated $1 million to Drazen after bankrolling the campaign of an independent who has turned the governor election into a toss-up. Why should we expect anything different than what you're getting now, given the folks that you elected? Analysts said his two-horse strategy suggested Knight was intent on keeping the Democrat out of the governor's mansion. In a rare interview, Knight 84 said he would do whatever it took to end the Democrats' stranglehold on power and described himself as an anti-Tina person. All right. So anti-Tina person, what does that mean? All right. So Mr. Nike has spent, I think, $3.74 million on the Democrats' opponent. That was Johnson, the independent, who used to also be Democrat. Now we've got Drazen in the mix, the Republican. Mr. Nike is tossing $1 million her way because he is like, whatever it takes, don't want the Democrats in power. Literally, whatever it takes. He came right out and said that. This guy is old. He's old and he does not care. He does not mince words. And so it's kind of like, all right, yeah, that makes sense. He told the New York Times, one of the political cartoons after our legislative session, and this is a good one, one of the political cartoons after our legislative session had a person snorting cocaine out of a mountain of white. It said, which of these is illegal in Oregon? And the answer was the plastic straw. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Yeah. Big old pile of Coke. Yeah, you can't have that plastic straw. You got to have one of those cardboard straws because, cardboard is so much better. I mentioned that in a podcast a while ago and you guys were all like, I hate cardboard straws. They're the worst. And they are. Just give me a plastic straw that I've been using for the last 53 years. It's fine. We're all going to make it. The world isn't going to implode if we use a little bit of plastic. Yeah, maybe we'll phase it out over time. But you know what? Plastic straws versus cardboard straws, that's not the biggest, thing of our problems, is it? How about 700 homeless encampments in Portland? Is that just a little bit more important, a little bit bigger of an issue for the whole ecosystem that is a city and community and bedroom community? You would think, but in Portland, who knows? Before that, he had given $3.75 million to Betsy Johnson running as an independent. All right. So he is just shooting cash into anybody other than the Democrats because he knows he's a business guy. He created Nike. He's one of the co-founders of Nike. He's like, yeah, whatever we got to do here, this is what we're doing. So additionally, once the funding has been procured for his proposal, the government officials said that the rollout would take up to 18 months to roll out. All right. So you got 18 months. All right. So you got 2 years to get the funding together. I mean, yeah, we got to get an estimate together first, right? How much is this going to cost? What is this going to cost? How many $1 billion is this going to cost? Because we're here in Seattle, we're running up against 500-600, million is being thrown around. Yeah, I think this is what it would take to solve the homeless crisis right now. It takes $600 million. You're just literally throwing out numbers, just massive numbers in the hopes that, something sticks somewhere. And, all right, this approach works. And I've said this many, many times. I think the only approach that's going to work is if you start putting people in treatment that need to be in treatment. And if they don't want to get off the streets, you involuntarily put them in treatment. People that have mental issues, those people, whether they like it or not, involuntarily or not, they need to go get the help that they need. You can't let them run around willy-nilly on the streets. They need to be supervised. They need to have their medication, whatever it's going to take. Because not only is it them we're worried about, it's us we're worried about. It's citizens who are being assaulted left and right. We cover that a lot here on this channel, don't we? This is nothing new. You've got just literally crazy people. And I know some of you get offended when I say crazy, but that is literally, what we've got going on is somebody that doesn't have the use of their full mental capacities and they make decisions that sometimes are horrible. Sometimes they're kind of just like, well, yeah, you slept in that 10-year-old's bed and you didn't murder anybody, but it's kind of off limits. You shouldn't really be doing that. So we've got this situation where, okay, you're going to have to come up with the estimate for the cost, and then you're going to have to figure out how much is this really going to cost, Mayor Ted. Then you got 18 months to roll it out. That 18-month rollout, that is a total guess. We have no idea because we don't even really have a plan at this point in time. We just got, I think we should do this, and I think this is what we have going on that should probably work. Oh, let's hope it does. Nah, this is a try for. This is a reach for the moon, reach for the sky. Reality is going to come down a little bit harder, huh? Wheeler said that he would also need the support of state officials, including the governor, whose seat will be filled in November. I need the governor-elect to ask the outgoing governor to immediately declare a statewide emergency declaration. Drazen, the Republican, has already committed to doing that. Because you know what? Republicans want to do stuff. They want to get rid of the homeless crisis. Want to work on the whole drug thing. They want to work on the whole fentanyl thing. They want to work on the southern border. Things that people are concerned with right now. Some of the things I see coming from some of the campaigns that I'm seeing from the Democrats, they basically just focus on abortion. That's a lot of what I'm seeing. And abortion, while important, is somewhere down, not on, I mean, it's top 10 important things going on, right? But the economy and inflation and crime and drugs and the southern border for folks that are, in that area are much more important. They're much more day-to-day, I think, issues that are going on. And that's not me just being a guy here in state of Washington, city of Seattle, city of Bellevue, just kind of looking around saying that. I'm saying that from the standpoint of all the polls that I'm reading. Hey, here are the major things that people are concerned with right now. And a lot of the Democrat candidates, they're not addressing those enormous issues, such as inflation. Hey, things are more expensive. So the races between Republican Christine Drazen and Democrat Tina Kotek, as well as third-party candidate Betsy Johnson. Drazen has previously been vocal about her plans to declare an emergency if she were to win the office. In an interview with Fox earlier this year, the Oregon gubernatorial candidate said she would work swiftly to handle the state's homeless crisis. We have among the highest numbers for homelessness and addiction, with the lowest level of access to recovery services, Drazen said. Mayor Ted knows that this is going on his watch. Now he's coming up with a game plan. Doesn't really have the mechanics, doesn't really have the ability to put it in place, but he's got to be able to say something, because Portland's just literally become the laughingstock of the United States. It's such a crazy shit show there that people can't argue their way out of that one. It's not that bad. No, I mean, you look at all the stories that are going on. I've had people come here to Seattle that live in Portland, that work in Portland, that deal with all of this stuff. And they literally tell me, hey, you know what? Seattle's in a lot better shape physically from the external standpoint, from the not as many homeless encampments, not as much graffiti, better policing, believe it or not. Because if you think Seattle is short on cops, from what I understand, from my position, looking from the outside in on Portland, they've got a real shortage there. And it's exacerbated by the fact that you've got all of this crazy crime and homelessness and addiction, ongoing, that doesn't allow policing to focus on, all the other stuff going on as well. So you got a situation here. Mayor Ted coming up with his plan, throwing his plan out there. But I would respect this way more if he had funding set up and actual mechanics of how we're going to handle this, instead of, we're going to build 20,000 units of housing. Because if you can get up 500, if you're a big city and you can get up 1,000 units of housing or whatever it is, 500 beds even, you're doing a really good job. 20,000? All right, that's mission impossible. And then not knowing how you're going to pay for it. Yeah, all this is just, this would be a great thing to do if we could do it. Unfortunately, not even close. Not even close. So, yeah, how about that governor race in Oregon? You people in Oregon, make those votes count. That's all I can say. Thanks for being here. That's it for me on this one. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.